We are witnessing something truly historic right now. This is the day after episode of the Oilers 5-1 victory over the Florida Panthers. The Oilers, they've come all the way back from 3-0 down in this series. They've tied this thing up. They have forced a game 7 on Monday back in Florida. They pulled out a couple massive victories on home ice. You had the 8-1 win in game 4 and then 5-1 last night. However, two empty netters. This game was closer than the score shows. The shots on goal totals pretty low. I think this is the lowest combined total in the postseason for combined for both teams together. Only 42 total shots on the actual net, 21 for each team. Both teams did not score on the power play. I don't even know what to say. I think I'm still kind of in shock. Never did I think that this would be possible. Now, that's not to say that I didn't believe. I had someone comment on my video last night. They were like, "Oh, you said the Oilers were going to get swept," trying to downplay my excitement. And I never said the Oilers were going to get swept. I said it's likely Florida wins the series. I didn't think Edmonton would get swept. If they had been swept, I mean, up until that point, they were down 0-3 the way Florida was playing. The Oilers couldn't solve Bobrovsky. Like, it could have happened, and I would have accepted that, and I would have been the first one to give Florida Panthers fans handshakes through the webcam. Like, wish them all the best. I would have been super happy for them. What Edmonton's doing here, there's a reason why this is historic. This is only the third time in NHL history that a team that's been down 0-3 in the Stanley Cup Final has managed to even force a Game 7. The 1945 Detroit Red Wings did it against the Leafs. The Red Wings ultimately lost that series, and the 1942 Leafs did that against the Detroit Red Wings, and the 42 Leafs ended up winning that series. Now, the Leafs won it on home ice. The Oilers will try and do this on the road in Florida. It's a tough barn to play in. The Oilers, they lost Game 1 and 2 in Florida, but they did win Game 5 in Florida. So if they want to pull off the improbable, miraculous, historic comeback for the ages, they're going to have to play their best game of the entire postseason. And I've beat this point over the head over and over. It's tough to ask for more because of what this team has been able to get to and accomplish up to this point, but they need more. Connor McDavid last night, he was held to 0 points and 0 shots on goal. That is the first time the Edmonton Oilers have won a hockey game where he had 0 points and 0 shots on goal in a game, and that's pretty impressive. Edmonton's depth has shown up in the Stanley Cup Final. You had a goal from McLeod last night. It was an empty netter. You had a goal from Henrique, assisted by Matthias Janmark. I'm telling you, that Janmark Henrique Brown line has been absolutely lights out for the Edmonton Oilers. No matter what happens the rest of the way here, no matter what happens Monday, if I am the next GM of the Edmonton Oilers, I am absolutely trying to re-sign Matthias Janmark and Connor Brown, and even Adam Henrique if he wants to take a bit of a discount. I have no idea what he would look like on the open market, considering he's an aging vet. He did have over 25 goals this season. So I'd be very curious to see how that contract would look. But if you wanted to bring all three of those guys back and have that as your third line going into next year, you would see absolutely zero complaints from me. Now, before I get into the meat and potatoes of this video, if you like these day after discussions, make sure you hit like and make sure you subscribe if you end up really liking the video. If you're not yet subscribed, we are almost at 3,400 subscribers. We are really climbing the sub count right now. It's been unbelievable the support that not only Oilers fans have shown, but fans from all over the world. Fans of so many different teams have been tuning in, and I cannot thank you enough. And I did want to thank everyone that watched the live stream last night. I had some major technical issues. This webcam that I'm using right now, it completely crapped the bed. I was not able to get this thing working until this morning. I had to switch to a different webcam. The lighting was all off. Everyone got to see what my actual basement looks like, because obviously this is not my actual basement. But the stream last night, it was so much fun. There's lots to discuss today. This video won't be as long as the other day afters. I'm going to try and streamline it. I do need to try and get some sleep. I did not sleep much last night, probably 3-4 hours tops. Just been buzzing since the the end of the game. But let's kind of jump into some of the basic stats here. It was 5-1 Oilers, shots on goal 21-21. Oilers had the slight edge in faceoffs. Both teams went 0-4 on the power play. The Oilers power play looked pretty bad. They had been able to contribute recently, but last night's power play did not look good. The Florida Panthers made some pretty good adjustments on their penalty kill. Edmonton wasn't able to generate really any kind of looks, no high danger chances. I think Bobrovsky made one good save on Draisaitl, but other than that, there wasn't a whole lot going on. Penalty minutes, 18-16. Now, at the end of the game, there were two 10-minute misconducts handed out just in the last 10 seconds of the game. The Florida Panthers, they're showing their frustration. They were trying to get the Oilers off their game just a little bit, in my opinion. After whistles in the third period, I was, during the live stream, I was like, Edmonton, you just got to skate away. Just skate away from this stuff, all right? Don't even get involved. The hits were 43-21 in favor of the Panthers. Block shots, 22-11 in favor of Edmonton. Both teams pretty even on the giveaways, but the Oilers had 18 takeaways, and the Panthers only had 5. Now, when we look at the actual day after discussion here, series is tied at 3-3. Right side of the screen, we have all of our talking points that I will discuss in this video. Bottom of the screen, you have the score, and you have some of the advanced metrics from the game. All situations for the Edmonton Oilers. So expected goals for 51.50%, but that does include the empty netters. So really, Florida did have the edge in the expected goals for last night. Corsi for 44.10%, high danger Corsi for 30.80%, and scoring chances 42.60%. The Florida Panthers, obviously, if you're into the analytics, this is 2 games in a row where the Oilers analytics just haven't looked great. So if you're a Panthers fan, maybe you're holding on to hope that, the sustainability of what the Oilers are doing the last several games here, maybe not totally sustainable. The Oilers do have 18 goals in the last 3 games. Obviously, an average of 6 goals per game. I would be very hard pressed to think that Edmonton could score at that rate in Game 7. It's going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be the hardest game of the entire postseason for both teams. We're going to see what happens. So our topics today, how did we get here? As in, how did we get to a Game 7? I'll kind of recap the series. I'll discuss the goaltending situation, the point situation, goals, that sort of thing. Hope will never die. I'm going to talk about which players have given me the most hope, and you can let me know which players have given you the most hope in the comment section below as well. Legacy. There's a lot of legacies on the line here. You have, for the Florida Panthers, would be their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. They lost the Stanley Cup in 5 games to Vegas last year. There's that redemption factor that's at play. You have Barkov, who could win the Conn Smythe. You had Bobrovsky, who was probably a Conn Smythe front runner until the last several games here. I really don't think Bobrovsky wins a Conn Smythe, even if he gets a shutout in Game 7. It would be very difficult to give it to him, in my opinion, just based on how much has gone past him, and it's not his fault. It's not Bobrovsky's fault. The Florida Panthers, they have been giving up a lot of not just high danger looks, but the Oilers are also killing them a little bit off the rush. The Oilers have been managing to score a ton of goals off the rush in this series. And then, of course, legacy for Connor McDavid, the Edmonton Oilers. McDavid cementing his legacy. Leon Draisaitl, his legacy. Stuart Skinner. I don't think you'll see an Oilers fan ever complain about Stuart Skinner ever again if Edmonton manages to pull this off. His play in games 4, 5, and 6 has been phenomenal. And for the most part in this entire series, I think Skinner's played pretty well. Keys for Game 7, of course, and then I'll have my closing thoughts and a thank you at the end of the video. As always, I do timestamp everything, so if there's anything you want to skip to specifically, I will make sure it's timestamped for you, easy to navigate. Now, how did we get here? So, Game 1 in Florida. It feels like forever ago, just based on how much time passes between games now. The Oilers lost 3-0. Bobrovsky was completely lights out. He had a shutout. The Oilers were all over the Panthers. They only gave up 17 shots to the Florida Panthers in Game 1. However, Florida, they had 2 goals on 17 shots on Skinner, and then they got an empty netter to make it 3-0. The Oilers could not solve Bobrovsky. Absolute brick wall. Game 2, the Oilers lost 4-1, and that game was much better for the Florida Panthers. The Oilers got the early lead. It was Matthias Ekholm on a 2-on-1. However, Florida really did take that game over. The Oilers were never really in that one. 4-1 win. It was 3-1 in the third. And then again, Florida, another empty netter. The Oilers, they looked a little fatigued in Game 2. They didn't generate a whole lot. Their power play didn't look great. And, their penalty kill has been good the entire series. But their special teams up to that point hadn't been clicking, wasn't going. And the Oilers just, it looked like a team in Florida that was on a mission. And when it was 0-2, there's still a lot of hope in oil country that, they'll go back home. They'll win both at home. It'll be a 2-2 series lead. Well, once we got to Game 3, Florida, they were up 4-1 heading to the third period. The Oilers had an absolute collapse in the second period. 3 quick goals for the Panthers, made it a 4-1 game after Foegele had tied it early in the second. But the Oilers, they started to shift momentum a little bit. Up to that point, up until the third period in Game 3, Sergei Bobrovsky was putting up a historic save percentage in the Stanley Cup Final. There were graphics that were being shown after Game 3 where Bobrovsky ranked all time in Stanley Cup Final history in save percentage, goals against, that sort of thing. But the Oilers, they managed to crack and break him just a little bit. They managed to crack just a little bit, and then the floodgates opened in Game 4. Of course, in Game 3, the Oilers had 2 goals late in the third period. They made a game of it. It was 4-1. They made it 4-3. Obviously, the comeback came up short, but Game 4, the Oilers completely took over that game. 8-1 victory. They chased Bobrovsky early in the second period. Darnell Nurse scored to make it 5-1 early in the second. Bobrovsky was pulled. They put in Anthony Stolarz, and then the Oilers scored another 3 goals on Stolarz. They won 8-1. McDavid had 4 points that game, and I think that game gave the Oilers that, that sense of belief mentally. This is now where it becomes a mental game. Florida goes, you know what? We'll go home. We can finish this at home. No big deal. We'll figure this out. Well, Game 5 comes in Edmonton. They win 5-3. They had a 3-0 and a 4-1 lead. Of course, Florida, they made it close. They made it 4-2, and then they made it 4-3 early in the third period. And I'm telling you what, my butt cheeks have never been clenched more than that, other than probably Game 6 against the Dallas Stars this season. But the Oilers, they managed to get the empty netter. You had Tkachuk with an unbelievable individual effort to prevent the empty netter initially, but then McDavid followed it up, grabbed the puck, threw it in there, 5-3 Edmonton. And then again, this becomes a mental battle. Now, Florida, you're thinking, oh no, like we're going back to Edmonton and that barn, those fans, they are so wild. They are so crazy. They're so loud. And last night, Game 6, the Oilers, they got the lead. They never relinquished it. And even though Florida looked like they were pushing at times, the Oilers were bending, but they weren't really breaking. They didn't give up a whole lot of real good high danger looks. Now, they gave up more high danger chances than they had, of course. If you look at the advanced metrics down below, you can see that. Edmonton's high danger Corsi 4 was only 30.80%. I think the Oilers all game had 3 or 4 high danger looks, and I think the Florida Panthers had 9 or 10. But Stuart Skinner came up clutch, big saves, and for the most part, Florida's shot attempts were coming from the outside, and they looked like they were just holding the puck a little bit too long. It looked like Florida was trying to overthink where they wanted to play the puck, where they wanted to put it. A lot of cycling down low, a lot of cycling to the points, and not really able to get into a shooting lane where they looked comfortable. And that's pretty interesting to see because the Florida Panthers, they are a team that regularly throughout the postseason has completely outshot opponents pretty much every game. Shot suppression on their end has also been very good. Obviously, the Oilers, they're good at shot suppression as well. But the Florida Panthers, as games progress, they seem to get better and better. Last night, it's tough to watch. And if you're a Panthers fan, you're probably not feeling great right now. And I truly do feel for you. I couldn't imagine being up 3-0, and now you're going back home for Game 7. But if there is something that you can take, Panthers fans, if there's any positivity here, you're still in it. You have to lose 4 games to lose the cup. You have to win a 4th game to win the cup. Nobody's won this thing yet. Whatever's happened in the first 6 games, it doesn't matter. Now it is a best of 1. So we'll see if Edmonton can pull off the miraculous comeback. This would be a comeback for the ages. This would be the most historic thing to happen, not only in NHL history, but this might go down in history in all of sports across the planet. But there's a job to be done. The Oilers haven't done it yet. The Panthers have not completed their job. I have no idea how the game is going to go on Monday. Complete toss-up. If you look at the Oilers' last 3 games, you might say they have the edge. If you look at the Florida Panthers, you can go, well, when's the last time they lost 4 games in a row in regulation? I don't know what that stat is, but I can't imagine it happens very often, and especially in the playoffs. Again, the Florida Panthers are such a good team. To watch them get dismantled the way they have been the last 3 games, the amount of goals that they're giving up, it's very uncharacteristic. So Panthers fans, I kind of want to hear your take on this. I want to know what you're seeing, what you think is going on, because I don't watch the team regularly. The only Panthers games I've really watched this year were when they were playing the Bruins, and then of course in the playoffs. So it's interesting. Florida was a team that looked so dominant throughout the entire postseason, and suddenly they are on the brink here of blowing a 3-0 series lead, and it's hard to imagine. I can't wrap my head around it because I have not been alive to witness anything like this in the Stanley Cup Final. Just in general. But this is wild. So Now, like I mentioned, last 3 games, the Oilers have outscored the Panthers 18-5. Bobrovsky in games 1-3, he had a .953 save percentage, but Sergei Bobrovsky in games 4-6, his save percentage .793 in those 3 games. Now, Stuart Skinner, on the other hand, games 1-3, he had an .867 save percentage. Again, not good, not absolutely terrible. You couldn't really hang any of those losses on Skinner other than probably game 3, but even then, some of the chances they were giving up, it's been tough to blame the goaltending in general in this series. But games 4-6 for Stuart Skinner, a .949 save percentage. Stuart Skinner has come up clutch in these games where they've mattered the most, backs against the wall. 3 straight elimination games in the Stanley Cup Final. Stuart Skinner has given the team a chance to win in every single game. He's looked great. He looks poised. He looks comfortable. And that's a good sign for Edmonton heading into game 7. But you got to find a way in game 7 now. Now, as I mentioned, the Oilers, they are the 3rd team in NHL history to force a game 7 after being down 0-3. Has not happened since 1945 when the Red Wings came back against the Leafs. Detroit lost game 7 that year. And then the 1942 Leafs came back. They're the only team to complete the comeback. They beat Detroit in the Stanley Cup Final 4-3. This is the first Stanley Cup Final game 7 since 2019 when the St. Louis Blues defeated the Boston Bruins at TD Garden in Boston. And if there's a Bruins fan watching right now, I do apologize to bring up those memories. I'm also a Bruins fan. If you don't know, the Bruins are my second favorite team. Pretty heartbreaking year that year. You know, I really did think Boston had it, but St. Louis was a team of destiny. St. Louis, they were near dead last in the NHL January 1st. They went on this miracle second half run, and they never looked back, and they ended up winning the cup that year. And the last Game 7 Stanley Cup Final before 2019 was in 2011. It was the Bruins, actually, against the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver. Now, both the last 2 Stanley Cup Final Game 7s, the road team won. 2019, St. Louis was in Boston. They won. And then 2011, the Boston Bruins were in Vancouver. They won. Does that mean the road team has the advantage? No, the home team still has the advantage. Obviously, if the road team wins, that it just means that they were better. We'll see if Edmonton can be the better team on Monday. I don't think the Oilers have an advantage. I don't think the Panthers have an advantage. I think this is as even as it gets. This is definitely a 50-50 split down the middle, a complete coin toss. No idea how it's going to play out, but hopefully, like I said, hopefully the Edmonton Oilers can find a way to pull this thing out. The memories that we'll have of this run, no matter what happens in Game 7, this is one of the most exciting Stanley Cup Finals I've ever seen, by the way. Like, just in general, not just because I have a team that's involved here. I know if you're a fan that doesn't cheer for either team, I think you might be able to agree here. This might be, this is going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. And so hope will never die. Where has the hope come from? Well, Game 3, obviously, the hope started to climb up a little bit. You had Broberg get a goal. You had McLeod with a tip-in goal. The depth has given me hope. Stuart Skinner has given me hope. Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman, they've all given me hope in this series. And Draisaitl still doesn't have a goal in this series. And you know what? He has an opportunity to be a Game 7 hero. Who has given you the most hope, Oilers fans? What is the main contributing factor to you maintaining hope? What were you holding on to after Game 3 when they were down 0-3? What were you hanging on to that allowed you to continue to hope? Because I think for a lot of fans, hope was pretty low. But with this team, we've seen them bottom of the NHL standings in November. They fired Jay Woodcroft. They hired Chris Knobloch. Chris Knobloch gives me hope. So let me know who's giving you hope. And let me know your thoughts in the comments on that. I mentioned legacy as well, the legacy here for many different players in this lineup for both teams. Ken Holland too. Ken Holland has an opportunity to kind of ride off into the sunset if the team manages to come back and win the Stanley Cup here. This is obviously the final year of his contract with the Oilers. If Edmonton does pull this thing out, Ken Holland, he can go out on top. He is a Hall of Famer. I have been as hard as anyone has been on Ken Holland all year. The amount of videos where I talked about the moves or lack of moves that he's made, the deficiencies in this roster. If the Oilers didn't make the playoffs, this was on Ken Holland. This was back in November, of course. And then trade deadline, did he do enough? Well, Adam Henrique has come up pretty big recently. Couple big goals here in the Stanley Cup Finals for Adam Henrique. It's tough for me to complain about anything at this point. we're heading to a game 7. It's a best of 1. Anything can happen. You can get the craziest puck luck. You might not get any puck luck, but you got to make your own luck at the end of the day. And lots of legacy situations here. I think Connor McDavid, he's going to be a man on a mission. Watch McDavid on Monday. Probably the pregame. Watch him in warm-up. It's going to be scary. And whoever is tasked with shutting McDavid down on Monday for Florida, I do not envy. That is probably the highest pressure situation, trying to shut down McDavid and trying to shut down Draisaitl. So far, they've done a good job at shutting down Draisaitl. Connor McDavid, he's exploded in the Stanley Cup Finals. Again, like I said, he had 0 points last night. 0 shots on goal. So that's a good sign if you're the Panthers that you did hold them to 0 shots and 0 points. But Connor McDavid, pretty rare that he goes 2 games in a row without producing at least a point. Look for McDavid to have a game on Monday, and possibly Draisaitl too. We'll see what the 2 biggest stars in Edmonton are made of on Monday. We'll see what the team is made of on Monday. We'll see if they can complete the legacy here, and not getting too far ahead of myself, trying to keep the excitement level, in the middle. Last night, I was riding a crazy wave of emotions. I rode a high all night going into bed, woke up this morning. Now we're back to just, neutral. We're neutral. Job's not done. Now, keys for game 7. If you're the Edmonton Oilers, you got to improve the play at 5-on-5. The Oilers, now, this is something I've talked about all playoffs, and they keep proving me wrong. The Oilers seem to get a lead, and then they really do sit back. That second period last night, I mentioned it numerous times. Like, Florida had 5 shots after 10 minutes into the second period. Like, they had 5 shots total in the game halfway through game 6. And the Oilers, though, they weren't really pushing the pace. They weren't really, pushing play. They had an opportunity to extend the lead on the power play. Their power play went absolutely nowhere. They have a tendency to fall back a little bit. And I know that they're just in their defensive formation, and I know the Panthers were struggling at getting the real high-danger looks. But man, oh man, I'd like to see Edmonton just continue to push play. Keep pushing. Don't stop. Don't ever stop. Don't take your foot off the gas ever. I will say, though, the turning point in the game last night was definitely Chris Knoblauch challenging for offside. The Oilers made it 2-0 very early in the second period, Adam Henrique, and then about 10 seconds later, Florida made it 2-1. However, on the zone entry, it was determined that it was offside. Now, Sportsnet really, I'm not going to say anything. They need to get their camera angles and replays figured out. The amount of times that something happens and there's a whistle blown and the announcers are talking about what happened, but then Sportsnet just doesn't show the replay. And I'm trying to do commentary and people are asking, like, what happened? And I'm like, Sportsnet's just not showing a replay. So I don't actually know what happened. Last night, every replay Sportsnet was showing, I could not tell if it was actually offside. And I kept telling the chat, I was like, this might come back to bite Chris Knoblauch and the Oilers. If they had upheld the goal on the ice, it would have been a 2-1 game, and then Florida would have got a power play, because that would have been a delay of game. If you challenge and get it wrong, you get a penalty. But there was one replay that Sportsnet showed, and they only showed the angle once, and it was definitively offside. And I was like, oh, okay, that's the replay. I was like, that's offside. There's no way that this goal stands now. And for some reason, Sportsnet only showed it once, and the broadcasters, they didn't seem to be too sure. They didn't even mention it. I'm like, okay. But that was the turning point of the game last night. 100% Chris Knoblauch's coach's challenge. That would have made it a 1-goal game for the Panthers, and they would have been on the power play. Chris Knoblauch shut that down very quickly, and I think you could see the life of the Panthers deflate just a little bit. They did struggle to get going in the second period. After that, it wasn't until about 8 minutes left in the second that they really started to push the play and generate some chances. But every chance they got, Stuart Skinner came up huge. Of course, Zach Hyman with the absolute dagger at the end of the second. There's a minute and a half left. He gets a breakaway. Shot from Forsling, win off of Nugent Hopkins. A shin pad, Hyman. That's the fastest I've ever seen that guy skate. That guy skated faster than Connor McDavid in that moment, man. That was so fast on the breakaway, and then he went to his signature backhand move. Ended up going just over Bobrovsky's right pad under the blocker. 3-0 game. At that point, I think fans knew. Of course, I was telling chat, long game to go, 20 minutes. I've seen crazy things happen. We've seen the Oilers blow 3-goal leads like they did to the Vancouver Canucks in game 1. Sorry, Oilers fans. Don't mean to bring up bad memories. But again, this is why I don't get too excited until that final horn sounds. So keys for game 7, improve the 5-on-5 play. please improve the 5-on-5 play. I cannot complain about the special teams in the series. The Oilers have gotten a few power play goals. They have a couple shorthanded goals. They've given up one power play goal against. They're actually a net positive on the penalty kill. They are a +1 on their penalty kill in this series because 2 shorthanded goals against 1 power play goal against. It's been impressive to watch, so we'll see if Edmonton can continue their really strong special teams play. If they do get a power play or 2 in Game 7, I would like to see them bear down and have that killer instinct. I felt they just didn't have that last night for some reason. Again, credit to the Florida Panthers. They played really good defensively on the penalty kill. But that is pretty much it from me. What did you think of the game last night? What did you think the turning point in the series has been so far? What do you think is going to happen in Game 7? Now, tomorrow is Sunday. I know I always say I upload every single day. I think I'm taking tomorrow off. I think I'm going to take a full day off tomorrow just to prepare for Monday. Monday is going to be a stressful day for all of us. For Oilers fans, Panthers fans, stress is going to be high. I need to make sure that I'm rested. Monday morning, I will have a pregame report up for everyone. And then Monday night, 6 p.m. Mountain. I might go live a little earlier. I might do 5:45 p.m. Mountain. I will be live streaming. I will be doing commentary. I will be live reacting to the entire game. And I cannot wait. So if you don't mind if I take tomorrow off, I'm sure most of you are totally cool with that. I am going to be playing a lot of the Elden Ring DLC that just came out, the Shadow of the Erd Tree. I don't know if anyone here plays Elden Ring. I don't know how in tune everyone that watches is with video games. Elden Ring is my favorite game of all time. I'm excited to just take one day off here, mentally kind of prepare for Game 7. I have a lot of memories of Game 7 from 2006. There's a lot of memories that keep flooding back here. Obviously, not great memories. There's obviously a lot of good memories from that 06 run. But this is a situation where, first time in my adult life, I've seen the Oilers get to this point. And the fact that they were down 0-3, it is now 3-3. I'm incredibly excited. But again, I'm keeping my emotions in check. I will take tomorrow off. I think everyone deserves a full weekend off here. Enjoy the weather if it's supposed to be nice where you live. If you're camping, if you're going to movies, whatever your weekend plans are, hey, let me know in the comments. I love interacting. I love hearing all of your comments. So I cannot wait for Game 7 on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Like I said, make sure you like today's video. Make sure you subscribe if you really liked it. Our community's grown so much, and whatever happens Monday, I hope that you remain here and we continue to produce amazing content no matter what happens. And of course, always tell someone that you love them. Tell someone that you love them today. And for the Oilers and Oilers fans, fight like Ben, fight like a kid, Ben Stelter Foundation wristbands. I always have a link to that in the description of all my videos. If you ever wanted to check it out, it is always there. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. Let's see if Edmonton can pull off the improbable and cement McDavid's legacy as just one of the all-time greats. Or we'll see if the Florida Panthers can win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history, prevent the reverse sweep. And, of course, there's a lot of players on Florida that I'll be happy for if they end up winning the Cup on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend, Oil Country. You're truly the best. Your support means the world to me. Cannot thank all of you enough. We'll see you all soon. Enjoy your day off tomorrow, and I'll see you Monday. Take care, everyone.